The blind date was empty until the black waitress walked over and said, "I'm your date tonight." Andrew Sinclair had been stood up before, but never like this. Never by someone who was standing right there, serving tables in a crisp uniform, offering herself as the answer to his empty evening. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're watching from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Now, let's continue. It was one of those early autumn evenings when the city seemed to shimmer with possibility. The light outside Rousseau had turned golden, casting long shadows across the cobblestone street that led to the restaurant's entrance. Inside, the atmosphere hummed with the quiet sophistication of old money and new ambition. Soft jazz floated from hidden speakers, weaving between the low murmur of conversation and the delicate clink of crystal against porcelain. At a corner table, positioned perfectly between the warmth of the interior and the drama of the street view, sat Andrew Sinclair. He was the kind of man who wore time like armor. White dress shirt, pressed until the creases could cut glass. Gray dress pants that had been tailored twice to get the break exactly right. Cufflinks at his wrists. Simple platinum, nothing ostentatious. The watch on his left wrist had cost more than some people's cars, but you would not know it unless you recognized the subtle craftsmanship. It was not about the money. It had never been about the money. It was about precision, control, the careful construction of a life that could not surprise you. Andrew lifted his wrist, the motion smooth and practiced, and checked the time. 7:32 p.m., 12 minutes late. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. He set his wrist down, fingers adjusting the placement of his water glass by perhaps an inch. The gesture was automatic. Everything in its place, everything under control. The table was set for two, white linen cloth, heavy and expensive. Two place settings with silverware arranged in perfect symmetry. Two wine glasses catching the amber light from the fixtures overhead. Two menus resting at careful angles. And two chairs, one occupied, one conspicuously empty. Andrew picked up his phone. The screen lit his face with a pale glow as he scrolled through his messages. Nothing. No text, no call, no explanation. He pressed his lips together, a thin line of barely contained irritation, and set the phone face down on the table beside his water glass. He hated lateness. Not because of the inconvenience, though that was part of it. Not because it disrupted his schedule, though it did. He hated lateness because of what it represented. A lack of respect. A casual dismissal of someone else's time. The assumption that your minutes mattered more than theirs. And deeper than that, though Andrew would not have admitted it even to himself, lateness reminded him of being young, of being the kid sitting on cold concrete steps with a backpack, checking the street every few minutes, making up excuses in his head for why his father was late picking him up. Again, telling himself stories about traffic or important meetings or simple forgetfulness, anything but the truth. That the person who was supposed to show up simply did not care enough to try. Andrew pushed the thought away. That was 20 years ago. He had built an empire since then, brick by brick, deal by deal, hour by careful hour. He had made himself into someone people waited for, not someone who waited. He controlled boardrooms and balance sheets and the trajectory of businesses worth hundreds of millions. He did not wait on restaurant patios for people who could not be bothered to show up on time. Except here he was, waiting. A waiter appeared at his elbow, young and efficient, with that particular blend of deference and professionalism that expensive restaurants cultivated. "Can I bring you anything while you wait, sir? Perhaps a drink?" Andrew glanced up, meeting the young man's eyes briefly. "Scotch. Neat. The Macallan 18. Excellent choice, sir." The waiter disappeared into the flow of the restaurant, movements fluid and unobtrusive. Andrew watched him go, then let his gaze drift across the dining room. Rousseau was exactly the kind of place he had chosen deliberately. Upscale, but not pretentious. The kind of establishment where tech executives closed deals over tasting menus, where venture capitalists celebrated successful rounds, where people came to see and be seen without the oppressive formality of older establishments. The lighting was warm but not dim, cast from elegant fixtures that hung at intervals across the ceiling. Each one created pools of golden light that made the wood tables glow and caught the crystal of wine glasses in tiny prisms. The walls were painted a deep cream, decorated with tasteful abstract art that probably cost more than most people's annual salaries, but did not scream about it. Large windows looked out onto the street, where the evening foot traffic passed by in blurs of color and motion. At a table near the window, an older couple leaned toward each other, their gray heads close together in conversation that looked intimate despite the public setting. The woman laughed at something the man said, reaching across to touch his hand. 50 years of marriage, maybe more, Andrew guessed. The kind of companionship that came from decades of shared moments. Across the room, a group of 4 in business casual attire occupied a larger table, their laughter rising and falling with the ease of colleagues who genuinely liked each other. Wine bottles stood between them, nearly empty. Plates of shared appetizers were picked over with the casual intimacy of people comfortable in each other's space. Near the bar, 2 women in elegant dresses sat on high stools, leaning close to hear each other over the ambient noise. One gestured animatedly while the other nodded, then threw her head back in laughter. Best friends, probably. The kind who scheduled regular dinners just to stay connected despite busy lives. Everyone had someone. Everyone belonged to someone. Everyone except Andrew. The waiter returned with his scotch, setting it down with practiced precision on a small square napkin. Your companion should be arriving soon? It was phrased as a question, polite and neutral, but Andrew heard the subtext. You are alone. You have been sitting here for 15 minutes. Should we still hold this table? Yes, Andrew said, his voice carrying just enough authority to shut down further questions. She'll be here. The waiter nodded, his professional mask never slipping. Of course, sir. Please let me know if you need anything. He withdrew, and Andrew was alone again. He wrapped his fingers around the glass, feeling the weight of it, the cool, smooth surface against his palm. He brought it to his lips and took a slow sip, letting the liquid warmth spread across his tongue. The scotch was excellent, complex and smoky with hints of dried fruit and a finish that lingered pleasantly. It deserved his attention, deserved to be savored. It was wasted on his mood. He set the glass down carefully, aligning it with the edge of the napkin in a gesture so automatic he did not even register doing it. His phone sat face down on the table. He resisted the urge to check it again. There was nothing there. There would be nothing there. Whoever she was, wherever she was, she had decided this evening was not worth her time. The jazz playing overhead shifted into a new song, something slow and melancholic. Piano and saxophone in conversation, asking questions neither could answer. Andrew recognized it vaguely, something from the 50s maybe, or 60s. The kind of music his mother used to play on Sunday mornings when she thought no one was listening. He took another sip of scotch. This had been James's idea. His business partner, his oldest friend, the person who knew him better than anyone else alive, had suggested this blind date with the enthusiasm of someone who genuinely believed he was doing Andrew a favor. You need to get out of the office, James had said 2 weeks ago, leaning against the window of Andrew's corner office on the 40th floor, the city spread out below them like a circuit board. When was the last time you went on an actual date? I date, Andrew had replied, without looking up from his laptop, fingers still moving across the keyboard. Taking a potential business partner to a networking dinner does not count. I'm talking about an actual date with a real person, who you might actually connect with on a human level. Andrew had stopped typing then, giving James a look that usually made junior associates reconsider their life choices. I don't do blind dates. I know. That's why you need to do this one. James had grinned. That infuriating smile that meant he had already made up his mind and was just waiting for Andrew to catch up. Her name is... Actually, no. I'm not telling you anything about her. That's the point of blind. But she's smart, she's accomplished, and she's single, which at our age and in this city basically means she's a unicorn. Maybe she's single for a reason. Maybe you are too. The comment had landed harder than James probably intended. Andrew had closed his laptop slowly, deliberately, giving his friend a flat stare. What's that supposed to mean? It means you've been alone for 3 years, Drew. It means you work 80-hour weeks and call it balance. It means the only people you see outside of work are your assistant, the staff at your gym, and whoever delivers your dry cleaning. James had pushed off from the window, his expression softening into something that looked almost like concern. Look, I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm worried about you. You built this incredible company. You have everything you said you wanted when we started. But you're miserable. I can see it. Andrew had wanted to argue, wanted to list all the ways his life was exactly what he had worked for. The penthouse apartment with views that stretched to the horizon, the private car service, the respect of his peers and the fear of his competitors, the security of never having to worry about money again, of never being that kid on the steps, waiting for someone who would not show. But he had not argued, because somewhere deep down, in a place he rarely let himself examine, he knew James was right. So he had agreed to the blind date. 1 evening. 2 hours maximum. Dinner at Rousseau, neutral territory, public enough to be safe, private enough to actually talk. How bad could it be? Now sitting alone at table 12 with an empty chair mocking him from across the table, he had his answer. Andrew checked his watch. 7:38 p.m., 18 minutes late. He picked up his phone, unlocked it with his thumb, and opened his messages. Still nothing. He scrolled through his email instead, reading subject lines without absorbing their content. 3 new threads that could wait until morning. 2 meeting confirmations for next week. A quarterly report from his CFO that he should review but could not bring himself to open. He closed the email app, opened his calendar, reviewed tomorrow's schedule as if he had not already memorized it. 8 a.m. Workout with his personal trainer. 9:30 a.m. executive team meeting. 11 a.m. call with the venture capital firm considering their Series C funding. Lunch blocked off, though he would probably work through it. 2 p.m. product development review. 4 p.m. one-on-one with the head of sales. Dinner blocked as free, though he would likely stay at the office until 9 or 10, the way he always did. Every hour accounted for. Every minute planned. No surprises? No chaos? No disappointments? No life? A small voice in the back of his mind whispered. But Andrew ignored it the way he always did. He closed the calendar app and set the phone back down, face down again, aligning it parallel to the edge of the table. His scotch was half empty. He picked it up and swirled it gently, watching the liquid catch the light, then took another sip. A different waiter passed by his table, this one older, with silver threads at his temples and the quiet confidence of someone who had been serving tables longer than Andrew had been alive. The man's eyes flicked to Andrew, to the empty chair, to the untouched menu and wine glass on the other side of the table. Their eyes met for just a moment, and Andrew saw it. The flicker of recognition, of understanding, of pity. Oh, you're alone. You've been stood up. The waiter looked away quickly, professionally, but the damage was done. Andrew felt something hot and sharp twist in his chest. Embarrassment, anger, shame. The particular cocktail of emotions that came from being seen in a moment of vulnerability you could not control. He was Andrew Sinclair. He had negotiated deals worth 9 figures without breaking a sweat. He had stared down hostile takeover attempts and won. He had built a company from nothing but an idea and sheer force of will. He had transformed himself from the kid waiting on concrete steps into someone who made others wait. He did not sit alone in restaurants being pitied by waitstaff because someone could not be bothered to show up for a date. Andrew set his glass down with just slightly more force than necessary. The sound was small, barely audible over the jazz and conversation, but it felt definitive. A decision made. He reached for his napkin, the heavy linen square that had been resting across his lap. Folded it once, precisely, the way he had been taught at the country club his mother had insisted he learn manners at. Folded it again, set it on the table beside his plate, the gesture deliberate and final. The universal restaurant signal, I'm done here. He checked his watch one more time. 7:44 p.m., 24 minutes late. 24 minutes of his life he would never get back. Spent waiting for someone who had decided he was not worth the effort of a simple text message saying she would not be coming. Andrew pushed his chair back. The legs scraped softly against the polished wood floor, the sound cutting through the ambient noise just enough to make the couple at the next table glance over. He ignored them. He was good at ignoring things. He had built an entire life on the skill. He stood up, reaching for his jacket where it hung on the back of his chair. The fabric was cool under his fingers, expensive wool tailored to fit him perfectly. He pulled it on with practiced movements, smoothing the front, adjusting the collar, checking that the sleeves fell exactly right. His phone and wallet went into his pockets. He pulled out his money clip, extracted two $20 bills, and set them on the table beside his half-finished scotch. More than enough to cover one drink, more than enough to apologize to the waiter for taking up a table during prime dinner hours and leaving it empty. Andrew took one last look at the table, at the two place settings that would now feed only one person, or more likely, would be cleared away and reset for the next reservation. At the empty chair that would remain empty. At the wine glasses that would never be filled for a toast or touched together in that moment of connection that marks the beginning of something. At the evening he had allowed himself to hope might be different. He felt foolish for hoping. He was 36 years old. He knew better than to expect anything from people. He had learned that lesson early and well, had built protective walls so high and so strong that nothing could hurt him anymore. Except apparently he had left one small crack open. One tiny vulnerable space where James's words had gotten through, where the idea of connection had seemed possible, where he had let himself imagine that maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. That crack was closing now, sealing over, the walls going back up. Andrew turned toward the door, his movements controlled and deliberate. He navigated between tables with the precision he brought to everything, his path efficient, his gaze forward. He did not look at the other diners, did not acknowledge the staff who tracked his movement with professional interest, did not let his eyes linger on the couples and groups who had what he apparently could not. The restaurant continued around him, indifferent to his departure. Conversations flowed like water around stones. Wine was poured into waiting glasses. Dishes emerged from the kitchen in aromatic clouds. The jazz played on, saxophone and piano still asking questions neither could answer. Andrew's hand closed around the door handle. Cool metal, solid and real. He could feel the city beyond it, the evening air, the freedom of leaving this moment behind. 3 steps, and he would be outside. 5 minutes, and he would be in his car. 20 minutes, and he would be home, back in his apartment, back in his controlled environment, where no one could disappoint him because he expected nothing from anyone. He had almost convinced himself it was what he wanted. The door handle turned under his palm. The mechanism clicked. The door began to open, letting in a rush of cooler air from outside, carrying with it the sounds of the city, distant traffic, voices passing on the sidewalk, the low rumble of the urban evening. Andrew stepped forward, one foot already across the threshold, already leaving, already gone. "Excuse me, sir?" The voice came from behind him. Female, young, uncertain but trying not to sound it. Andrew froze. His hand was still on the door handle. His body was half turned to leave. Every instinct told him to keep moving, to not turn around, to not give this evening one more chance to humiliate him. But something in that voice stopped him. Something that sounded like courage fighting fear. Something that sounded like hope. She stood a few feet behind him, holding a silver tray balanced on one hand with practiced ease. A young black woman, late 20s, with rich dark brown skin that caught the warm lighting. Her hair was pulled back in a sleek low bun, and small silver stud earrings glinted at her ears. She wore the restaurant's traditional uniform, a knee-length black dress with a crisp white collar and white cuffs, a white apron tied at her waist, black tights, and simple black flats. She looked like every other server in this restaurant, except for her eyes. They held nervousness, determination, fear wrestling with resolve. "Yes?" Andrew said, sharper than intended. "Can I help you?" "I—" She stopped, swallowed. "Are you Andrew Sinclair?" Andrew's eyes narrowed. "I am." Her shoulders straightened, her grip on the tray steadied. "I'm Olivia." "And I'm your date tonight?" The words hung between them. Andrew stared. His mind went blank. "I'm sorry? What did you just say?" "I'm your date. The blind date. The one you've been waiting for." He looked at her uniform. The silver tray with someone's entree, steam rising. Her name tag, the notepad in her apron pocket. "You're a waitress." "Yes." "You're working." "Yes." "And you're my blind date." Not a question. An attempt to make this logical. "Yes." The door clicked shut behind him. He stepped back into the restaurant, back into the absurdity. "This is a joke. James put you up to this." "No." She shook her head quickly. "It's not a joke. James set this up through my friend Keisha. This is real. I'm really your date." "You're working." "I know how this looks, but I couldn't afford to take the night off. This is my shift. Tuesday through Saturday, 7 to close. When Keisha told me about the date, I wanted to come, but I need this job. So I thought—" She trailed off, confidence cracking. "You thought what? That you could serve tables and be on a date?" "I thought maybe it was terrible. I've been watching you all evening trying to work up courage, telling myself it was stupid. But I saw you leaving and thought if I didn't try, I'd regret it." Andrew felt eyes turning their way. The couple by the window watching. The business table noticing. A waitress talking too long. Drama in a place designed to avoid it. "This is insane," he said, voice softening despite himself. "I know. I've been having a panic attack in the kitchen for 20 minutes. Despite everything, something loosened in his chest. "You've been watching me. All evening." "Not in a creepy way. Keisha described you, but there are lots of men in white shirts here. It took 3 trips past your table to be sure. And you watched me sit there, alone." She flinched at his bitterness. "I'm sorry. I should have come over right away. I was scared. Of you looking at me like I'm crazy. Of you thinking this was a scam." She pressed her lips together. "I'm sorry." Andrew studied her. Really looked. She was beautiful. Not in the polished way of women at networking events. Beautiful in a way that seemed unaware. The uniform looked elegant on her. The way she held herself with dignity despite everything. And her eyes. Warm brown. Holding honesty and fear and hope mixed together. "Let me understand. You're my blind date. You work here. Couldn't take the night off. So your solution was to serve me dinner while being my date?" "I know it sounds ridiculous." "It sounds ridiculous any way you say it. You should go. This was a mistake." "Wait." The word came before he decided to say it. Olivia stopped. Looked at him. Waited. He could leave. Should leave. This violated every social convention, every expectation, every rule. And yet, she had tried. Despite fear, despite knowing how insane this sounded, despite the possibility he would walk out, she had tried. When was the last time anyone had taken a risk like that for him? He looked past her toward table 12. The empty chair, the abandoned scotch, the folded napkin signaling defeat. He looked back at her nervous hands on the tray, her straight spine despite trembling shoulders, her eyes that held his without looking away. Andrew Sinclair had built an empire on calculated risks. This was not business, not a negotiation, something he had no framework for. Maybe that was exactly what he needed. "Table 12, he said quietly. "That's where I was sitting." She nodded. "The table set for 2, with the empty chair." Another nod. He walked past her, back to table 12, moving between tables with precision. Behind him, soft footsteps. She appeared at the edge of his vision, still holding the tray. Andrew pulled out the empty chair, gestured to it with formal grace, as if inviting a CEO to a conference table, as if this were normal. "Well, Olivia," he said, voice carefully neutral. "I believe this seat is yours." Her face transformed, nervousness giving way to shock, then joy trying not to be obvious. She glanced at the chair, at him, at the tray. "I can't. I have to deliver this, and other tables, and my manager. One thing at a time," Andrew said, sitting down. He picked up his lukewarm scotch and took a sip. "Deliver your food, check on your tables, do what you need to do, but when you're done..." He looked at the empty chair, back at her, let the smallest hint of a smile touch his mouth. "I'll be here." Olivia delivered the entree to table 7, her movements automatic despite the trembling in her hands. The couple barely glanced at her as she set down their plates, too engrossed in their conversation to notice that their server was coming undone. She murmured something about enjoying their meal, then turned back toward table 12, toward Andrew Sinclair, who was still there, waiting. She checked on 2 other tables in quick succession, refilling water glasses and promising to bring dessert menus, all while acutely aware of his presence across the dining room. When she finally had no more excuses to delay, she straightened her apron, took a breath, and walked back to table 12. Andrew watched her approach. His expression was unreadable, carefully neutral in that way she imagined he used in business meetings. The empty chair sat between them like a challenge. "May I?" she asked, gesturing to it. "I believe that's why we're here." Olivia sat, feeling the strangeness of it immediately. She was in her uniform. There was a table across the room waiting for their check. Someone at table 4 would need another bottle of wine soon. But here she was, sitting across from a man in an expensive white dress shirt, at a table set for a romantic dinner, as if this were normal. "So," Andrew said after a moment, "James?" "And Keisha," Olivia added. "My best friend since high school. They used to work together, I think, or maybe they met at some conference. She wasn't entirely clear on the details when she told me about you." "What did she tell you?" Olivia felt heat rise to her cheeks. "That you were successful, single. That James thought you needed to get out more." She paused. "That you were a good man who'd been alone too long." Andrew's jaw tightened slightly. "James has opinions about my personal life. Keisha has opinions about mine." Olivia managed a small smile. "She's been trying to set me up for months. I kept saying no. I don't have time for dating. I'm working 2 jobs and taking night classes at the community college. My schedule is insane." "Then why did you say yes to this?" The question was direct, almost sharp. Olivia met his eyes. "Because Keisha can be very persuasive, and because she promised me this one would be different, that you were different." She looked down at her hands, clasped on the table. "I should have asked more questions. She failed to mention that you'd be dining at the restaurant where I work. And I failed to ask James anything at all. He told me to show up at Rousseau at 7:30 for a blind date. That was the extent of my information. So, neither of us knew." "No." They sat in silence for a moment. Olivia became aware of eyes on them. She glanced sideways and caught Simone, another server, staring from near the kitchen. The older woman's expression was a mix of concern and curiosity. Olivia looked away quickly. "This is awkward," she said quietly. "Spectacularly so." Despite everything, Olivia felt a laugh bubble up. She tried to suppress it, but it escaped anyway, a quick nervous sound that made Andrew's eyebrows rise slightly. "Sorry," she said. "It's just, this is possibly the worst first date in the history of first dates." "I don't know. I once had a woman spend an entire dinner talking about her ex-boyfriend. She showed me photos. That's pretty bad. She then asked if I'd invest in his startup." This time Olivia's laugh was genuine. "Okay, that might be worse." The corner of Andrew's mouth twitched. Not quite a smile, but close. "So there's hope for us yet." The word "us" hung in the air between them. Olivia felt something flutter in her chest. Before she could respond, she saw movement in her peripheral vision. Table 4. Waving for her attention. "I'm sorry," she said, already pushing her chair back. "I need to—" "Go," Andrew said. "I understand." She hurried to table 4, where a man in a gray suit wanted another bottle of the Pinot Noir. She took the order, smiled, promised to return quickly, and headed to the bar. While she waited for the bartender to retrieve the bottle, she felt someone step up beside her. "Girl, what are you doing?" Simone's voice was low, urgent. "That man at table 12. You're sitting with him?" "It's complicated." "Uncomplicated it before Mr. Delacroix sees. You know how he is about professionalism." Olivia glanced toward the back office. The manager's door was closed, but that wouldn't last. "I know, I'm handling it." "You better handle it fast." Simone squeezed her arm, concern etched in her face. "I don't want to see you lose this job." The bartender handed over the wine. Olivia delivered it to table 4, opened it with practiced efficiency, poured a taste for approval. The ritual gave her time to think. Simone was right. This was dangerous. She needed this job. Couldn't afford to lose it over some blind date that was probably going nowhere anyway. But when she looked back at table 12, Andrew was still there. Still waiting. Something about that steadiness drew her back. She sat down again, more tentatively this time. "I should probably explain," she said. "About the 2 jobs and the classes. You don't owe me an explanation." "I want to give you one anyway." Olivia straightened her shoulders, lifted her chin. "I work here Tuesday through Saturday. On Sundays and Mondays I work at a bookstore downtown. And 3 nights a week I take classes at the community college. Business administration. I'm 2 semesters away from my associate's degree." Andrew's expression shifted, skepticism giving way to something else. Interest, maybe. Or respect. "That's a lot." "It's what I need to do. My mom raised me on her own, worked 2 jobs her whole life to give me what I needed. I'm not going to waste that. I'm going to build something better." "Better than what?" "Better than what I have now. A life where I don't have to choose between paying rent and paying for classes. Where I can maybe help other people who are where I am now." She stopped, suddenly self-conscious. "Sorry, I'm talking too much." "No." Andrew leaned forward slightly. "What would you do? With your degree?" "Eventually? I want to open a community center. A place that offers job training, tutoring, resources for people trying to improve their situations. Nothing fancy, just real help for real people." She laughed, embarrassed. "It's probably naive." "It's not naive. It's ambitious." He paused. "I grew up middle class. My father left when I was young. My mother worked as a bank teller, raised me alone. I remember what it was like, trying to make things work on not enough money and not enough time." Olivia looked at him with new eyes. "But you built a company." "I did. Started with nothing but an idea and too much coffee. Worked my way through college, networked obsessively, took risks that probably should have failed." He picked up his water glass, set it down without drinking. "I made it, but I remember where I came from." "Then you understand." "I do." Something passed between them. A recognition. A connection that had nothing to do with the awkwardness of the situation and everything to do with the people they were underneath. "What kind of business?" Olivia asked. Keisha was vague. "Software development. We build data analytics platforms for healthcare companies. It's technical, mostly boring unless you're into that sort of thing." "Are you? Into it?" Andrew considered. "I used to be. Lately it feels more like maintenance than passion. Going through motions." "Why?" The question seemed to surprise him. He opened his mouth, closed it, started again. "That's a good question. I don't know when it shifted from something I loved to something I just do." Olivia leaned forward. "What did you love about it, originally?" "The problem solving. The idea that you could take chaos and find patterns, create order. Make something useful from something complex." He met her eyes. What do you love about your plan? The community center? The people. The idea that everyone deserves a chance, not just the people born with advantages. That hard work and determination should matter as much as luck and connections. They should, but they don't. Not always. No, Andrew agreed. Not always. Table 7 needed their check. Olivia excused herself, processed their payment, thanked them for coming. When she returned, Andrew had been looking at his phone but set it aside as she sat. Your business partner, she said. James. How long have you known him? 20 years. We met in college, started the company together. He runs operations, I handle strategy and development. He's the closest thing I have to family. That's why you agreed to this. The blind date. He was persistent. Said I needed to live more, work less. Andrew's lips curved slightly. He was probably right. Keisha said the same to me, that I was going to burn out if I didn't let someone in. And yet here you are, working through our date. Olivia winced. I know. I'm sorry, this isn't fair to you. You offered to leave earlier. I asked you to stay. Why? The question was soft, genuine. Andrew took his time answering, his fingers tracing the rim of his glass. Because you walked across this restaurant and put yourself on the line. Because you could have hidden, could have pretended you weren't here, but you didn't. That takes courage. He looked up at her. And because I haven't had a real conversation with someone in longer than I care to admit. This might be the strangest first date in history, but it's also the most honest one I've had. Olivia felt warmth bloom in her chest. Really? Really. She smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. Andrew smiled back, and for a moment, the restaurant faded. The other tables, the watchful staff, the improbability of the situation. It was just them. Then Olivia saw him. Mr. Delacroix, the restaurant manager, emerging from the back office. His eyes swept the dining room with practiced efficiency, taking inventory of everything. They landed on table 12. On Olivia, sitting in her uniform across from a guest, not serving, but being served. His expression went hard. He began walking toward them, his stride purposeful, his face set in lines that Olivia knew too well. The look that meant someone had crossed a line and was about to be reminded of their place. Oh no, she whispered. Andrew followed her gaze. What? My manager. He's coming over. She started to stand. I should... Sit. Andrew's voice carried quiet authority. Let me handle this. You don't understand. I need this job. I know. Trust me. Olivia looked at his face, at the certainty there, and slowly sat back down. Her heart hammered as Mr. Delacroix approached, his shoes clicking against the hardwood floor with the rhythm of inevitable consequence. He stopped at their table, looked at Olivia, looked at Andrew. His expression could have frozen wine. Ms. Harper, he said, his voice low and controlled. May I have a word? Olivia's hands tightened. Mr. Delacroix, I can explain. You're sitting with a guest, in your uniform, during your shift. Unacceptable. Actually, Andrew said, voice cutting through with calm authority. She's sitting with me, at my invitation. Mr. Delacroix's gaze shifted. Sir, our staff are not permitted to socialize with guests while on duty. Are you aware of who owns this restaurant? A pause. The Rousseau Group, sir. And Richard Chen? He sits on the board, good friend of mine. Andrew's tone stayed pleasant, but steel underneath. I'm sure he'd be interested to know his staff are harassing guests during a personal dinner. Olivia is here at my invitation, as my guest. Masterful. Not quite a threat, but close enough. Mr. Delacroix's jaw tightened as he weighed options. I see. My apologies, Mr. Sinclair, Andrew Sinclair. The name landed. Mr. Sinclair, of course. However, he turned to Olivia, voice colder. Ms. Harper, we'll discuss this after your shift. She understands, Andrew said. Thank you for your discretion. A dismissal. Mr. Delacroix nodded curtly and left, spine stiff. Olivia's composure cracked. Oh God, I'm going to get fired. You're not. You don't know him. He's been looking to cut staff. Her hands shook. I can't lose this job. Rent's due next week, tuition the week after. Olivia, look at me. Andrew's voice was firm, but kind. She did, eyes bright with unshed tears. I know, Richard Chen. One phone call and this goes away. No. Sharp, definitive. Absolutely not. What? I don't need you to rescue me. I've been taking care of myself for a long time. I'm trying to help. I know. But if I keep this job, I need to keep it because I earned it. Not because some billionaire made a phone call. The word billionaire landed hard. That's what you think this is? Isn't it? No. It's preventing you from being punished for something that's as much my fault. I asked you to sit. But I will be punished. That's how it works. Her voice softened. I appreciate what you did, but I need to handle the rest myself. Andrew studied her. The pride in her eyes, the fierce independence. Yes, he said quietly. I understand that. He did. He remembered being 22, pitching his startup, watching an investor look at him like he was nothing. I had a professor in college, Andrew said. Dr. Brennan, I needed a recommendation for an internship, my dream opportunity. Olivia's expression shifted to curiosity. He looked at me and said no. When I pressed, he said people like me don't make it in that world. Students who work their way through school who don't have connections. He said I'd be setting myself up for disappointment. What did you do? Found a different professor. Got the internship. When I started my own company 5 years later, Dr. Brennan tried to invest. I turned him down. Good. The point is, I know what it's like to have someone assume you're less than because of where you started. He met her eyes. I wasn't trying to rescue you. I was trying to level a playing field that's always been tilted. I'm sorry. You were trying to help. And you were maintaining your dignity. I respect that. He paused. For what it's worth, I see someone who built 2 jobs and night school out of determination. That's more impressive than any balance sheet. She flushed. You're just saying that. I don't just say things. Ask anyone who works for me. She laughed, making him smile. I can believe that. Tell me about your mother. Olivia's expression softened. She's a force of nature. Worked 2 jobs my entire childhood. Made sure I had everything, even when she went without. Her voice caught. She got sick 3 years ago. I've been sending her money when I can. That's why you work so hard. Partly. And because I refused to waste what she sacrificed. She gave me a chance. You already are making something of it. Something passed between them. Recognition. 2 people who understood the weight of building something better. When Keisha described you, she made you sound intimidating, Olivia said. But you're not like that at all. Disappointed? No. Pleasantly surprised. Andrew felt warmth in his chest. James was vague about you. I imagined someone polished and perfect and boring. And instead you got a waitress having a panic attack? I got someone real, brave enough to risk embarrassment for connection. He leaned forward. In my world, everything is calculated. Every conversation is negotiation. But you put yourself on the line with nothing to gain. That's rare. Maybe you're looking in the wrong places. Maybe I am. A laugh escaped him, sudden and genuine. What? Olivia looked startled. This. The most unconventional date in history, and I'm having the best conversation I've had all year. She grinned. It is pretty ridiculous. Spectacularly ridiculous. I'm still wearing my work shoes. I'm drinking lukewarm scotch. There's a table over there that thinks we're insane. Andrew glanced over. The couple by the window were watching with fascination. Let them watch. I don't care. Olivia's smile faltered. I need to get back to work. When does your shift end? 11. We close at 10:30, but there's cleanup. Andrew checked his watch. 8:30. Can I wait for you? She looked surprised. That's 2.5 hours from now. I'm aware. You want to sit here for 2.5 hours? I want to continue this conversation. Without interruptions. Without your manager glaring. He held her gaze. So, yes. I'll wait. You're serious. I'm always serious. She shook her head, smiling. You're crazy. Perhaps. But I'm crazy and patient. When your shift ends, I'll be here. She stood slowly. Okay then. I'll see you at 11. I'll be here, Andrew said. And he meant it. Olivia moved through the restaurant like water finding its path. Andrew watched from table 12, his phone face down and ignored. She returned to her other tables with that quiet competence, but now he understood what it cost. At table 7, she bent to listen to an elderly woman's question, her posture patient. The woman was hard of hearing, asking Olivia to repeat something twice. Not a flicker of impatience in Olivia's expression, just warmth. Andrew felt something shift in his chest. Table 4 complained about their wine. The man was loud, gesturing sharply. Olivia stood there and took it, her spine straight, face composed. She apologized gracefully, diffused the situation without diminishing herself. When she walked away, dignity intact, Andrew wanted to applaud. He saw her world now, really saw it. The constant movement, the emotional labor, the physical toll. She made it look easy. Nothing worthwhile ever was. A waiter appeared. Sir, can I bring you anything else? Andrew was not hungry, but leaving meant ending this. The seared salmon and another scotch. He pulled out his phone, 3 emails from his CFO, a missed call from James. He called back. Well, how's it going? James's voice bright with curiosity. I'm still here? That's promising. What's she like? Andrew watched Olivia refill water glasses. Unexpected. Good unexpected or bad unexpected? I'm not sure yet. Not quite a lie. Why didn't you tell me she worked at Rousseau? She what? Keisha didn't mention that. Wait, is she serving you dinner? Something like that. James laughed, delighted. Only you. So? Are you going to see her again? Her shift ends at 11. I'm waiting. Silence. Then, softer. You're waiting. You, Andrew Sinclair, are sitting there for 2.5 hours? Yes. Then she must be something special. Andrew watched Olivia laugh with the elderly woman, her whole face transformed. She is. Good. It's about time. After they hung up, Andrew sat with those words. Time for what? To let someone in? To risk being hurt again? He remembered Victoria. 3 years ago. 6 months with someone who seemed perfect on paper. She had liked the restaurants, the galas, being seen with him, but she had never really seen him. The relationship ended when he overheard her on the phone. The money is great. I'm just riding this out until someone better comes along. He had built his walls higher, told himself it was safer, that expecting nothing meant no disappointment. Then Olivia proved him wrong. His salmon arrived. Andrew ate mechanically. His attention was on Olivia, who paused briefly to check on him. Their eyes met across the candlelight. She smiled. Small, private, just for him. He smiled back. He noticed other servers watching. 2 young women near the kitchen, heads together, glancing between them. Simone watching with concern mixed with curiosity. Let them talk. Their opinions meant nothing. At 9:15, Olivia approached carrying water. She sank into the chair with visible relief. Break. 15 minutes. Simone's covering my tables. She seems like a good friend. The best. She thinks I'm insane, by the way. Are you? She considered. Maybe. Or maybe I'm tired of playing it safe. Playing it safe is overrated, says the man who built a multi-million-dollar company. Billion, Andrew corrected, then caught himself. Sorry. That was obnoxious. It's impressive. Terrifying, but impressive. She leaned forward. What does success feel like? Real success. The question caught him off guard. Why? Because I'm trying to get there. I want to know if it's worth it. Andrew looked at his expensive watch, his tailored shirt. Honestly, it feels like winning a game you forgot why you were playing. Olivia blinked. That's not the answer I expected. It's the truth. I have everything I'm supposed to want. But most days, I'm going through motions. Like I built this perfect life and forgot to include anything that actually matters. What matters? I'm still figuring that out. What about you? What does success look like? Helping my mom retire. Opening that community center. Making a difference. She paused. But also, feeling like I'm living, not just surviving. That sounds like a better definition than mine. Maybe we're measuring wrong things. Maybe we are. Andrew leaned back. Tell me about the community center. Her face lit up. A place where people can learn skills, get help with resumes, find resources, tutoring, maybe a food pantry, meeting people where they are. She caught herself. I'm rambling. No, you're passionate. There's a difference. It's a good dream. Better than most I hear in boardrooms. Your dreams built a billion-dollar company. My dreams built a business. Yours could change lives. I know which one matters more. She looked at him like seeing him anew. You really mean that? I do. I've spent years chasing metrics and valuations. You're chasing purpose. That's infinitely more valuable. Most people look at me like I'm naive. Those people are wrong. You sound very sure. I am. I've been on both sides. Purpose wins every time. So why do you still chase money? The question landed. Habit, I think. And fear. If I stop, I might have to admit I'm lonely. That success didn't fill the holes I thought it would. He did not talk like this. Not to anyone. But Olivia made him want to be real. I understand that, she said softly. If I slow down, I might face how tired I am. How scared I am that I'll work this hard and still not make it. You'll make it. You don't know that? I do. Because you know why you're doing this. That's more powerful than any business plan. She smiled. That's the nicest thing anyone's said to me in a long time. Then people aren't paying attention. They sat in comfortable silence. Around them, the restaurant hummed, but Andrew barely noticed. This felt like the only real thing in his carefully constructed world. Then Olivia laughed. Sudden, bright, genuine. What? Andrew asked, smiling. This. Us. Having an existential crisis over my break. Most first dates are small talk. We're discussing the meaning of success. Is that bad? No. Her eyes sparkled. It's ridiculous and perfect, and I wouldn't change a second. Andrew felt something unfurl completely. Something locked tight for 3 years. Neither would I. Their eyes held across candlelight. The moment stretched, warm and promising. Then Simone appeared, apologetic. Olivia, honey. Break's over. Olivia sighed but stood. Back to reality. I'll be here, Andrew said. I know, she replied, and her smile said she understood. Waiting was its own promise. As she walked away, Andrew realized he was still smiling. Actually smiling, not the polite expression from meetings. This was real. And for the first time in years, so was he. The restaurant had entered its final act. Tables were emptying. It was just past 10, and Olivia had maybe 30 minutes left. Andrew watched her clear table 9, stacking plates with practiced efficiency. She looked tired. The exhaustion of holding yourself together when everything wants to let go. She was heading toward the kitchen when Mr. Delacroix intercepted her. Andrew saw the manager's rigid posture, sharp gestures, saw Olivia's spine straighten, her face go carefully blank. Andrew stood before he consciously decided to move. He was halfway across the restaurant when he heard Mr. Delacroix's voice, low but cutting. "This is your final warning, Ms. Harper. After your shift, we'll discuss your continued employment." "Mr. Delacroix, if you'd just let me explain." "You've violated policy repeatedly. You've embarrassed this restaurant." "Actually," Andrew said, arriving at Olivia's side, "she's done neither." Mr. Delacroix turned. "Mr. Sinclair? This is a personnel matter. This is you harassing my guest repeatedly." Andrew's voice was quiet but carried authority. "I mentioned I know Richard Chen. What I didn't mention is that Richard owes me a considerable favor." He pulled out his phone. "I'm going to call him now." Mr. Delacroix's jaw tightened. "That's hardly necessary." "I disagree." Andrew was already dialing. "Wait." Olivia's hand shot out, touching his arm. "Don't." Andrew looked at her. "Olivia, please, don't make that call. I need to speak with you. Now. Privately." She walked toward the alcove near the restrooms. Andrew followed, aware of eyes tracking them. The alcove offered a sliver of privacy. Olivia turned on him, eyes bright with emotion. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "Helping you keep your job." "I didn't ask you to help. I specifically told you I needed to handle this myself." "He was threatening to fire you for sitting with me." "I know. But it's my problem to solve, not yours." She crossed her arms. "You can't just throw your connections around every time something doesn't go the way you want." "That's not what I'm doing." "Isn't it?" "You're calling the owner, using your influence, making this go away with a phone call because you can." Her voice rose. "Do you have any idea what that's like? To have someone swoop in and fix your problems because they have power you don't? It's not help, Andrew. It's charity. It's you deciding I'm too weak to fight my own battles." The words hit hard. "I don't think you're weak." "Then why are you trying to save me?" "Because I care." Raw, honest. "Because the idea of you losing your job because of me is unacceptable." That's exactly the problem. You think having power means you should use it. But some of us have spent our lives with people who have power making decisions for us, deciding our worth based on how useful we are to them. Andrew felt something click. "Someone hurt you." Olivia looked away. "My ex. 3 years ago. He was successful. He liked dating someone like me, the struggling student. It made him feel good." She laughed bitterly. "He'd pay my rent, buy me things, and whenever we fought, he'd remind me how much he'd done for me, how I should be grateful." Olivia. "So yes, when you pull out your phone to call the owner, it feels like that, like someone deciding they know what's best for me." Andrew pocketed his phone. "I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to control you. I was trying to protect you. I don't need protection. I need respect. I need you to trust that I can handle my own life." "You're right. I overstepped. I saw a problem I could solve and jumped in without asking." He took a breath. "But I need you to understand something. I wasn't trying to rescue you because I think you're weak. I was trying to protect something I value." "What?" "This. You. The possibility of us." His voice softened. "I haven't felt this connected to another person in years. The thought of losing that because some manager on a power trip decided you broke protocol, I couldn't just sit there." Olivia's expression shifted, some anger bleeding into something more complicated. "I'm scared too," Andrew continued. "Terrified. I don't trust people easily. I built walls so high nothing could get through, and then you walked across a restaurant and somehow found a way in." He met her eyes. "So, yes, I jumped in. I tried to fix it. because that's what I do when I'm afraid of losing something. But I see now, that's not what you need. What I need is to know you see me as an equal, not a project, not someone to save, a partner in whatever this is. I do. I see you that way. I'm just not good at showing it without falling into old patterns. He offered a small smile. I'm kind of a disaster at this. Despite everything, Olivia's lips twitched. You're not a total disaster. Just partial? Maybe 70% disaster. I can work with that. They stood in the alcove, restaurant sounds muted. Olivia's arms uncrossed slowly, defensive posture easing. I'm scared of trusting you, she admitted quietly. Of believing this is real. Men with money have never meant anything good in my life. They've always wanted something. Or left. I'm not him, your ex. I know, but fear isn't logical. She looked at her hands. My mom always told me to be careful with men who have more than you, that they'll use it against you eventually. Do you believe that? I don't want to. But it's hard to unlearn. Andrew understood. I'm scared of trusting anyone, not just you, anyone. Victoria wasn't the first time. People see the money and see an opportunity, not a person. That's awful. It is. So I stopped letting people close. I built a life where I didn't need anyone, where no one could disappoint me. He paused. And I was miserable. What changed? You did. You walked up to me with nothing to gain, everything to lose. You saw me, not my bank account. You challenged me. He smiled. You made me want to be someone worth knowing. You already were. You just needed someone to see it. So did you. The moment stretched between them, charged with vulnerability, then footsteps. Mr. Delacroix, expression carefully neutral. Ms. Harper, Mr. Sinclair. He cleared his throat. I've spoken with Mr. Chen. He expressed appreciation for your patronage and apologies for any misunderstanding. His jaw was tight. Ms. Harper, finish your shift without penalty. We'll consider this matter closed. Olivia's eyes widened. But you said... The situation was more nuanced than I understood. You may return to your duties. He walked away, spine rigid. Andrew and Olivia looked at each other. You called him anyway, Olivia said. No, I didn't. Andrew showed her his phone. No recent calls. James must have called Richard after our conversation. That's the only explanation. Olivia shook her head slowly. I don't know whether to be relieved or frustrated. Both is valid. Andrew pocketed his phone. For what it's worth, I really was going to let you handle it your way. After this conversation, I understand why I needed to. Thank you, Bud, for understanding, and for caring enough to want to help, even if your execution was flawed. 70% disaster, you said? Maybe 65 now. You're improving. He smiled. Around them, the restaurant continued its closing routine. You should finish your shift, Andrew said. I'll wait. You've been waiting for hours. I know. I'm getting good at it. Olivia looked at him for a long moment. Then she stood on her toes and pressed a quick kiss to his cheek. 30 minutes. Then we can actually talk. She was gone before he could respond, leaving him standing in the alcove with his hand touching the spot where her lips had been, feeling like maybe 70% disaster wasn't so bad if the other 30% got him this. The last diners had left. Lights in Russo had dimmed. Staff emerged in twos and threes, calling goodbyes, heading towards subway or bus. Andrew waited outside, watching the city move. Just past 11. The street was quieter but still alive. A couple walked past. A taxi cruised by. Somewhere a siren wailed, distant. The door opened. Olivia stood there, different. She had changed into dark jeans, a simple white blouse, and a denim jacket. Her hair was down now, falling past her shoulders. No restaurant makeup. Real. Hi, she said, smiling. Hi. Andrew pushed off the wall. You look beautiful. She ducked her head, smile widening. You look like you've been waiting for 4 hours. Only 3.5. Olivia laughed. You actually waited. I said I would. I half expected you to come to your senses. Did you want me to? No. Soft, but certain. I really didn't. They looked at each other. Then Olivia gestured to the street. Want to walk? I'm too wired to go home. They walked in comfortable silence. Streetlights cast gold on the sidewalk. Distant traffic hummed. Cool autumn air. Are you hungry? Andrew asked. Actually hungry? Starving. I ate half a bread roll 6 hours ago. There's a place. Nothing fancy. Just real. The diner was called Lucky's. 24 hours, red vinyl booths, the smell of coffee. The opposite of Rousseau. Perfect. A waitress brought them coffee. Olivia ordered apple pie. Andrew ordered the same, plus fries. I love places like this, Olivia said, wrapping hands around her mug. They don't pretend to be anything they're not. When was the last time you went somewhere fancy, besides work? A date, 2 years ago. Tiny portions, long wine list. I was terrified I'd use the wrong fork. He spent the night on his phone. His loss. I was relieved. I felt like I was playing a part I didn't know the lines to. Andrew understood. I go to those places all the time, everyone performing their success. It's exhausting. I can't remember the last time I just talked to someone. Really talked. What about James? James knows the work version, not the person underneath who's not sure any of this was worth it. Olivia set down her mug. Was it? Worth it? I don't know. I built what I set out to build, but somewhere along the way, I stopped having anyone to share it with. Success is lonely when there's no one who sees you, not your bank account. Is that why you were open to the blind date? Yes, and because I was tired of being alone. He met her eyes. I'm 36, successful beyond my dreams, and completely isolated. Their pie arrived. They ate in silence. Then Olivia spoke quietly. I'm scared of being seen as less than. My whole life, I've been the girl from the wrong side. The one on scholarships. The one whose mom cleaned houses. She set down her fork. I'm terrified that no matter what I achieve, I'll always be the girl who doesn't quite belong. You belong anywhere you choose to be. Tonight, everyone was watching us. I could feel their judgment, wondering what I was doing sitting with someone like you. Their judgment says more about them than you. Maybe, but it still hurts. Andrew reached across the table. His hand covered hers. I judged you too. Initially. When you first said you were my date, part of me thought this had to be some angle. Olivia's hand tensed. And now? Now I think you're the bravest person I've met, and the most real. He squeezed gently. I'm sorry I judged you. I judged you too. I saw the expensive watch and thought, another rich guy who thinks money makes him interesting. I was ready to dislike you. What changed? You stayed. You waited 3.5 hours just to keep talking to me. She turned her hand over, palm against his. That's not something money can buy. They sat like that, hands linked, while the diner hummed around them. We should walk, Olivia said eventually. They found a small park, a few benches, some trees, a fountain turned off for the season. They sat facing the empty fountain. This is the most real conversation I've had in years, Andrew said. Me too. Usually, first dates are all performance. What do you want? Olivia thought. Someone who sees me. All of me. The girl who works 2 jobs and the woman who wants to change the world. Someone who doesn't need me to be more or less than I am. That sounds perfect. What about you? Someone who makes me feel alive, who challenges me, who doesn't see my money, just me. He looked at her. Someone like you. The moment stretched. their hands linked. Andrew's thumb traced circles on her palm. Olivia leaned closer. Andrew did too. He could see gold flecks in her eyes, could smell her shampoo, could feel his heart racing. Their lips were inches apart when her phone rang. Olivia jerked back, fumbled in her pocket. "I'm sorry, it's my roommate. She worries." "Answer it." Olivia stepped away. "Hey, Tanya." "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm with someone. No, a good someone." She glanced at Andrew, smiled. "Really good. I'll be home soon. Promise." She hung up. "Reality check. What time is it?" "Almost 1. And I have to be at the bookstore by 8. 7 hours from now. Which means 6 hours of sleep." She looked regretful. "I should go home." Andrew stood. "Let me drive you." "You don't have to." "I want to." His car was parked near Rousseau. They walked back, hands occasionally brushing. The Range Rover waited under a streetlight. Olivia gave him an address across town. He drove carefully, aware this evening was ending. The apartment building was modest. Old brick, fire escape. Andrew pulled to the curb. "This is me," Olivia said. "Can I walk you up?" "Third floor walk up, and my roommate has her face pressed to the window." Andrew looked up. A curtain moved. "She's protective. She's nosy, but I love her." Olivia unbuckled her seatbelt but didn't move. "Thank you. For tonight, for waiting, for everything. Thank you for taking a chance on me. Even though you're 70% disaster?" "You're not the disaster. I am. You're everything I didn't know I was looking for." Olivia's breath caught. "Andrew?" "I know it's fast. I know this was supposed to be one date and now it's 2 in the morning, but I don't want this to end." "It doesn't have to." She touched his face. "I have tomorrow off, after my morning shift." "What are you doing tomorrow night?" "Whatever you want. There's an art gallery, small, local, opens at 7. I'll pick you up at 6:30. "That's not a question." "No," Andrew said, smiling. "It's not." Olivia leaned across and kissed him. Quick, soft, promising more. Then pulled back, eyes bright. "Good night, Andrew." "Good night, Olivia." She got out. Walked to her building. Before going in, she turned and waved. Andrew waved back, watched her disappear. Saw a light go on in a third-floor window. He sat there, touching where she had kissed him, feeling like his life had divided into before and after. Before Olivia walked into Rousseau. After she made him believe in possibility. Andrew stared at the quarterly report on his screen without seeing a single number. His office, 40 stories above the city, felt too bright. His mind was somewhere else entirely. His phone lit up. He grabbed it immediately. Just served a customer who asked if we had books on finding yourself. I recommended starting with not losing yourself in the first place. Too philosophical for 9 a.m.? Andrew smiled. Perfect amount of philosophical. How's the shift? Slow. Lots of time to think. Dangerous. About what? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Last night. You? Everything. Good. Everything or concerning everything? Good. Scary good. His office door opened. Jennifer, his assistant, stood there with professional amusement. Your 9:30 is here, and you've been smiling at your phone for 20 minutes. Andrew set the phone down. Thank you, Jennifer. Should I be concerned you haven't opened the quarterly report? I opened it. You've been on the first page for 35 minutes. I'm reviewing it thoroughly. Of course you are. Jennifer's lips twitched. You're 9:30? Send them in. His phone buzzed. Should I be worried you're texting during work hours? Isn't that against Billionaire code? Andrew laughed out loud, then realized what he'd done and looked around his empty office. James walked in without knocking. That was definitely a laugh. I heard it from the hallway. He closed the door, grinning. Okay, spill. What happened last night? Nothing happened. You're a terrible liar. Jennifer says you've been useless all morning, and you're actually smiling. James dropped into the chair. So what happened? Andrew hesitated. Part of him wanted to tell James everything, but another part wanted to keep this private, protected. Olivia didn't need to be subjected to questions and speculation yet. It went well, Andrew said carefully. Better than expected. Drew, you waited over 3 hours. That's not went well. That's something else. And we talked for a long time, and I'm seeing her again tonight. Tonight? You never do back-to-back dates. This is different. How different? Andrew met his friend's eyes. The kind of different that makes me want to protect it. So I'm not going to talk about it. Not yet. James studied him, then smiled, genuine. Okay, I respect that. But whatever happened, it looks good on you. I haven't seen you this present in years. Present? Yeah, like you're actually here, not just going through motions. James stood. Just be careful, okay? Make sure she's someone who deserves that. After James left, Andrew sat with those words, as if he had a choice anymore. As if Olivia hadn't already gotten under his skin, past every defense he'd built. His phone buzzed. My shift ends at 2. Where's this art gallery? The Collective. On 5th Street. But lunch first? Somewhere normal, like you asked. You remembered. I remember everything you said. That's either really sweet or really creepy. I'm going with sweet. Generous of you. See you at 2:30? I'll be there. Across town, Olivia restocked fiction while her roommate's voice played in her head from this morning's interrogation. A billionaire? Tanya had said, cross-legged on their couch. Livy, please tell me you're not serious. I'm serious. You know how this ends, right? Men like that don't date women like us. They have fun with us. Get to feel real for a minute. Then go back to their penthouse and marry someone from their country club. He's not like that. How do you know? You met him yesterday. I know because I talked to him for 6 hours. Because he waited for me. Because he listened like what I said actually mattered. Tanya had softened. I'm trying to protect you. You've been hurt before. Andrew isn't him. You don't know that yet. Maybe not. But I want to find out. Now. Shelving books about love and loss, Olivia wondered if Tanya was right. If she was setting herself up for heartbreak. If the class difference was too big. Her phone buzzed. Question. Do you like Italian food? Small place, family-owned, actual grandmothers in the kitchen. Olivia smiled despite her doubts. That sounds perfect. But nowhere too expensive. I want to pay my half. Absolutely not. Andrew. Olivia. Let me do this. Please. You can pay for our 3rd date. She stared at the message. 3rd date. He was already thinking about a 3rd date. Fine. But 3rd date is on me. And I'm choosing somewhere you'd never normally go. Deal. See you at 2:30. Wear comfortable shoes. Lots of walking. You're smiling at your phone, a voice said. Her co-worker Marcus stood there grinning. New guy? Maybe. Good maybe, or complicated maybe. Both. Olivia slipped her phone away. Definitely both. The rest of her shift crawled. When 2 o'clock finally arrived, she clocked out and practically ran to the bathroom to check her reflection. Jeans, soft green sweater, simple makeup, hair down. She looked like herself. Hopefully that would be enough. Tanya's words echoed as she walked to the gallery. Men like that don't end up with women like us. But then she remembered Andrew's face last night, the way he'd looked at her like she was something precious. The Collective was tucked between a bookstore and coffee shop. Olivia had mentioned it months ago to Keisha, said she'd always wanted to go but never had money for the entry fee. She couldn't believe Andrew had remembered. He was standing outside, dark jeans and casual button-down, hands in pockets. When he saw her, his face lit up. Hi, she said, suddenly nervous. Hi. He stepped closer. You look beautiful. You clean up nice yourself, very un-billionaire-like. I'm trying to blend in. Be normal. He gestured to the gallery. Ready? You remembered? That I wanted to come here. I told you. I remember everything. He reached for her hand, tentative. When she took it, his fingers laced through hers. I've been thinking about you all day. Me too. My coworker caught me smiling at my phone, twice. My assistant noticed too, and James came by to interrogate me. What did you tell him? That it's none of his business. Andrew squeezed her hand gently. That I wanted to keep you to myself a little longer. Is that okay? Olivia looked up at him. At this man who could have anyone, who was choosing to stand here with her, choosing to protect what they had from judgment. It's more than okay, she said softly. They stood there, people flowing around them, the city moving. But in that moment, they were still, connected, real. Andrew's thumb traced circles on her palm. I should probably tell you something. What? I'm terrified. Of what? Of how much I like you already. Of how fast this is moving. Of the fact that I can't stop thinking about you. Olivia laughed, releasing something she'd been holding tight. I'm terrified too. My roommate thinks I'm insane. That you're going to break my heart. I don't want to break your heart. I know, but you could. That's what's scary. You could break mine too. You're a billionaire. You're supposed to be invincible. I'm just a guy, Olivia. A guy who's been alone for a long time, who built walls and forgot how to let anyone in. Until you. He lifted their joined hands, pressed a kiss to her knuckles. So yes, I'm terrified. But I'm also all in. If you are. Olivia felt something settle in her chest. A decision made not just with her head, but with everything. I'm all in. Even though I'm 70% disaster? 65% now, remember? Right. I'm improving. He smiled, that genuine smile that transformed his face. Come on, let's look at some art. Then Italian food. Then we're going to walk and talk and pretend the rest of the world doesn't exist. Sounds perfect. They walked into the gallery hand in hand, leaving behind the doubts and fears and all the reasons this shouldn't work. Because maybe, just maybe, the reasons it could work were stronger. They stood in front of the painting for a long time. The diner glowing in the night, the solitary figure visible through the window. What do you think it means? Olivia asked softly. The person sitting alone? Maybe they're waiting for someone. Or maybe they're choosing to be alone, finding peace in solitude. Is that what you think? That being alone is a choice? Sometimes it's the safest option. Connection is dangerous. She turned to face him. But lately I've been thinking that safety is overrated. That the dangerous thing might be worth doing. They moved through the rest of the gallery slowly. Andrew found himself seeing the city differently through Olivia's eyes. Not as a backdrop to his success, but as a living thing full of stories. Tell me about the community center, he said. Your dream. Olivia's face lit up. A place where people don't have to choose between surviving and living. Where kids can get tutoring. Where adults can learn new skills, get help with resumes. Maybe a food pantry. Computer access. That's a beautiful vision. It's probably impossible. Do you know how much that would cost? How much work? Nothing worth doing is easy. And you already know your why. That makes you richer than I'll ever be. She understood. He could see it in her eyes. They left the gallery as it closed, stepping into the evening. Eventually, they found themselves back at the park from the night before. The bench where they had almost kissed. They sat close, shoulders touching. I need to tell you something, Andrew said quietly. I haven't felt this alive in years. You make me want to be more than just successful. You make me want to be real. Olivia turned to him. That scares me. How much I want this. How much I want you. Her voice caught. I'm falling for you, Andrew. And I'm terrified because I don't know how to do this. How to be with someone from a completely different world. I don't know how to do this either. I've spent so long protecting myself. I don't know how to be vulnerable. He took her hand. But I want to try. With you. What if we're not enough? What if our worlds can't coexist? Then we build a new world, one that's ours. You make it sound so simple. It's terrifying, but I'd rather be terrified with you than safe and alone. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she leaned in and kissed him. Not tentative. Real. Deep and honest, and full of all the fear and hope and wanting that had been building since she walked across a restaurant and changed his life. When they pulled apart, breathless, Olivia rested her forehead against his. We're really doing this. Yes. People are going to judge us. Your world will think I'm a gold digger. My world will think I'm selling out. Let them think whatever they want. It's going to be hard. I know. You're very sure about this. I'm sure about you. The rest we'll figure out. She smiled. Okay. Let's choose this. Choose real over safe. Choose us over fear. They sat in comfortable silence. Around them, the city hummed its night song. I have an idea, Andrew said eventually. Come to dinner with me, at Rousseau, as my guest. Olivia went still. That's where this started. I know. I want to go back. To show that everything's changed. That's either really romantic or really masochistic. Can it be both? She laughed. When? Friday night. 7. Wear something that makes you feel beautiful. I don't have fancy restaurant clothes. Wear whatever makes you feel like yourself. That's all I want. Friday evening, Andrew stood outside Olivia's apartment at exactly 7. Dark slacks, simple white button-down. Himself. When Olivia emerged, he forgot how to breathe. Simple navy dress, fitted, but not tight. Soft curls. Small silver earrings, the same ones from that first night. Nervous and beautiful and perfect. Too much? She asked. Perfect. They drove to Rousseau, hands linked. When they pulled up, Olivia's grip tightened. We don't have to do this, he said. Yes, we do. We need to prove we can exist in both worlds. Inside, the restaurant was exactly as it had been, but everything felt different. The host's eyes widened slightly, seeing Olivia. Recognition. But his mask never slipped. Good evening, table for 2? Sinclair, reservation for 7. He led them through the dining room. To table 12, the corner table, where this had all begun. Andrew held out Olivia's chair. She sat, and something passed between them. Acknowledgement of where they had been and where they were now. Their server appeared. Professional, efficient. They ordered wine. Appetizers. Entrees they barely tasted because they were too busy talking. Tell me something nobody knows about you, Olivia said. I hate jazz. Everyone thinks I love it. But honestly, I'd rather listen to silence. What else? I wanted to be a teacher. Before I got swept up in the startup world. You still could. Maybe. What about you? I can't cook, at all. I once set pasta on fire. Andrew laughed, loud enough that the next table glanced over. He didn't care. How do you set pasta on fire? I have a gift. They talked through dinner, through dessert, through coffee. The restaurant emptied around them. But they stayed, unwilling to let the evening end. Eventually, Mr. Delacroix approached, carefully neutral, but something different in his eyes. Maybe respect. Mr. Sinclair, Ms. Harper, I hope everything was satisfactory. Perfect, Andrew said. Mr. Delacroix nodded, started to turn, then paused. Ms. Harper, your shift schedule for next week is posted. Tuesday through Saturday, as usual. Thank you, Mr. Delacroix. After he left, Olivia looked at Andrew. That was his way of saying it's okay, that I still have my job. Good. You shouldn't have to choose between your work and being with me. I won't. We'll figure it out. They paid and left. The same night where they had met, but transformed. They walked to his car, but Andrew didn't unlock it. Instead, he turned to Olivia, took both her hands. "I'm all in," he said. "Whatever comes, however hard it gets, I'm choosing this, choosing you, choosing us." "Me too. I'm terrified and hopeful and completely sure all at once." "That sounds about right." He kissed her under the streetlight, in front of Rousseau where it all began. And when they pulled apart, both smiling, both changed, Andrew knew this was just the beginning. They got in the car, drove into the city night. Two people from different worlds, building a new one together. Two people who had been alone choosing connection. Two people who had been empty choosing real. The blind date had been empty until she walked over and said 5 impossible words. Now nothing was empty. Everything was full. Full of possibility and hope and the terrifying, beautiful reality of letting someone see you completely. Andrew glanced over at Olivia, her profile illuminated by passing streetlights, and felt something settle deep in his chest. Not the end of a story. The beginning. Their story. Messy and uncertain and absolutely real. "What are you thinking?" Olivia asked. "That I was waiting for you, at that empty table, my whole life. I just didn't know it yet." She reached over, laced her fingers through his. "Good thing I showed up." "Good thing you did." And as they drove through the city toward whatever came next, Andrew Sinclair felt something he had not felt in years. Alive. Real. Home. Thank you for staying with me until the very end of this incredible journey. If this story touched your heart, wait until you see what's coming next. It's even more powerful and inspiring than you can imagine. So don't go anywhere. Click on that video showing on your screen right now to dive into another amazing story that will absolutely blow your mind. Trust me, you won't regret it.